So today I'm in the Explorer and I'm going to talk about a code that I've been getting. This is code PO745 and this is called a pressure control solenoid, and it's basically a severe code as you can see here. And so now the other codes I have are P0733, transmission gear number 3 incorrect. PO745, the EPC circuit fault. And the P1000 readiness test, that's just nothing to worry about there. 745 is a pressure control solenoid. So these are common failures in the 5R55 transmission, which is what this 2003 Ford Explorer has. As you can see on the dash, I have a service engine soon. All right, I'm picking up the Explorer from the transmission shop. Got a brand new rebuilt transmission, this bad boy. Over here at Apex Transmission. All right. So, Apex Transmissions rebuilt it for me. I had a band that was broken for third gear, so I had no third gear whatsoever. And that was the biggest issue of this thing. We have a freshly rebuilt transmission, all the goodies, a brand new torque converter, flushed, fluid, and all. We are good to go. All right, I've been driving it around. I put about, I don't know, 7 miles on it, if you can see that. Just pulled the codes on it. It doesn't have any codes. The code 1000 is anytime you basically have unhooked the battery, which is what they did when they were doing work on it. And there's no codes. So it doesn't have that incorrect gear failure that it had before for third gear malfunction basically. And seems to be shifting okay. I can't really tell because as you can see, we're in stop and go traffic. I can't get more than about 15 miles an hour right now. But for now, that's where we're at. So I figured I'd let the guys at the shop do everything from taking it out to putting it back in, flushing the lines, putting a new converter in it, adjusting the shift linkage. Notorious thing on these, you go to put it in gear, it may not line up exactly in drive, so they adjusted the linkage here so it matches up properly when it's in gear. And other than that, just gonna put some miles on it, make sure everything's good. But if you're having trouble with your Ford Explorer 5R55 transmission, more than likely, it's probably gonna be something with third gear, which seems to be a common problem on these. And in this particular instance, the band was actually broken. I had no third gear whatsoever. And the symptoms were, it would just rev and wouldn't go into third gear. And it felt like it had a shudder. And the way it started was, in the beginning, it would flare a little bit and didn't act like it wanted to shift properly. And then it got to the point it wouldn't shift at all. It was hitting the rev limiter. You have to let off and let it go into a different gear, which it basically was going into fourth gear. So I hope that was helpful, give you an idea. You might as well consider spending, you're gonna spend north of about $2,500 for a shop to do the parts and labor, give or take. And, but that's how you fix the transmission in a 03 Ford Explorer. And there it is. Famous 5R55 transmission. With the transfer case here on the back for four-wheel drive. But that's it. It's not very glamorous to look at, but it does a great job. While they were in here, they did the rear main seal for the back of the engine because they said it was leaking, which was great. I'd already changed the pan gasket, so between the two you can see it's really dry in there now. Shouldn't have any more problems. The only issue I got to work on now is up front here. I have a heck of a power steering leak. As you can see there, it's run all down onto the boot of the steering and all down here on the steering column. So that's gonna be a chore to get in there. But for now, the transmission's shifting great. I drove it again last night. I don't think they put a lot of miles on it when they first put the transmission in. They unhooked the battery, so basically it's got to relearn everything. And you know, it's got a new shift solenoid in it, and torque converter and all that. But anyway, driving around on the way home, it was a little firm. It kind of locked, felt like it locked the converter a little aggressive, like more than it should. And I wasn't sure if that was something going on with the transmission, the converter, the new solenoid pack. So I reached out to the shop and told them, they said, you know, put some miles on it, bring it back, and they'd check it, but it's under warranty, 12,000 mile warranty. And so I drove it again yesterday, and it did great. It had 0 issues. So I don't know if maybe you just need to put some miles on it, get the fluid circulated in it, get the computer to learn a little bit. But as of last night, driving it around, we probably put, I don't know, 10, 15 more miles on it, maybe 20. And it shifted perfect. It was smooth, the converter locked properly, everything's going really good. So I put on the lift this morning just to check, make sure everything was good, no leaks or anything. And as you can tell, everything looks fine. You're probably wondering, I thought you had some 20-inch wheels. These are clearly not 20-inch wheels. These are the wheels that actually came on the Explorer when I got it. What you can look here though, is look how thick that tread is. That's a lot of tread on that tire just to be sitting around not being used. So over here to my left is the actual 20-inch wheels that came off of it. And the tires are thin, you can see they're thin. And here's the wear bar, and it's right at the wear bar. So while normally I could just drive this till they were about slick and not worry about it, because my wife drives this and my kid in it, I'm gonna go ahead and put some new tires on it. Unfortunately, this is one of my wheels I put on here, fix the wheel. This wheel it's out of round, something's going on with it, so I need to take it to the shop that fixed my Mach 1 wheel and get them to straighten that wheel, particularly on it. That I can put the tires on it, and then I'll put them back on the Explorer. But for now, this thing has some no name, no keying, and they got good tread. So they get the call for now. So we're gonna ride on them for a little bit. Why not? I got them, you know, might as well use them. The rims aren't the prettiest rims compared to the 20s that I've got, but it does the job. So that's a little walk around of the Explorer. Transmission's in it, shifting good, ready to go. And all I have to do now, get that rock out of here. All I have to do now is just put some miles on it, go back to daily driving it. This is the rear strut assembly. It's from Moog. I've had this thing on here since November 2019. Right after I bought the vehicle, I had to change all the struts and everything. And they call it fully loaded. It comes with a spring. So you basically, there's 3 nuts at the top you take loose, then a bolt here at the bottom, and this whole assembly comes out. Makes it real simple. The problem is this thing is locked up, and I didn't really notice it until I just got the transmission serviced or replaced. And I went to drive this thing, and when I hit a bump, it would actually kind of felt like it was pogoing on one side. So I got up here on the lift, checked everything, couldn't find anything wrong. So I put it back on the ground, basically stood on the bar here and jumped up and down. And this side was not compressing at all, and the other side was compressing. So it, basically, because nothing physically looked wrong in here, everything's still attached, this shock has locked up inside the strut here. So unfortunately, nobody has the Moog brand in stock. I had bought this on Amazon a couple years ago. They no longer carry it. So what I'm gonna do is just go to the local AutoZone, because they have something in stock that'll replace it. It's the full assembly. It's about 130 bucks. And I was gonna show you what it takes to get this off. So you basically get a ratchet wrench. You loosen the 3 nuts on the top here. They are 1/2 inch, by the way. And you get these nuts all the way off. One here, one on the back side. And then this actually will come down, and you can loosen, there's a bolt right across here, and pull that off, and this whole thing should just tilt and come right out. All right, little trick before I pull it all the way out. Just want to show you. So there's 3 nuts on top that you pull out. There's this little cover that sits up top. It looks like this. This has to go facing the outside. This is where your nuts sit on top of that. So it goes like this. And you undo the shock at the bottom. You also undo your sway bar link here. And while you're at it, I go ahead and WD-40, take off this bottom bolt here that goes to the spindle for your rotors. And then there's bolt that attaches the A-arm on both sides. You don't have to take it off, but what I do is you go in here and just loosen it a little bit. If you keep it tight, it's got too much tension, you can't push the arm down. So you just take a little tension off and it lets you slide the arm up and down real nice like that. And from there, it's just pretty easy. Just grab this and pull it out of the saddle. I gotta take 2 hands to do it, so let me put this over here. And there you go. So this is it, and the shock is locked up. So if I wanted to, I could get a spring compressor, compress the spring and change the shock, but I'm just gonna buy a whole new assembly and slap it in there. Now I'll tell you the reason this failed. Remember I told you I had a wheel that was giving me trouble? Well, that wheel over there I need to fix that was on the vehicle for a while. It bounced so much that it actually just wore the shock out. So part of the problem was I had a bad component and didn't really know to what extent it was. But I got beside my wife one day, she was driving it, we're out on the highway, and I could see it bouncing. So you could feel a little vibration in the truck, but I didn't realize how bad it was bouncing up and down. And what it was, it just beat the shock up. So it lasted about 3 years. I've got these stock wheels on it now, they don't have that problem. I'm gonna get that wheel fixed. Then when I put them back on, I shouldn't have any more issues. But that's really what happened to this thing. That's why it didn't last for 3 years. So anyway, I'm gonna go get a replacement and I'll stick it back together. All right, just got back from AutoZone. This is the part number in case you're wondering. And I picked this one because this is what they literally had in stock. So there it is, fully loaded, ready to go. Just put it side by side for comparison's sake. Yep, looks like the same thing. So I'll take these nuts off and then I'll put it up in there, tighten it all down. Shifting good. Let's see how these bumps feel. You ready? Oh, nice. Very smooth. So basically, the truck acted like it had a pogo stick behind it because the shock wasn't compressing. Let's see what happens now. Oh yeah, perfect. Rides great. Mission accomplished. So basically the strut was locked up, replaced the strut, shock with spring assembly, and works like a champ now. Another project wrapped up. TTSaleen. Time to get some gas in this thing.